Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Juan and welcome back to Bookish Islander. Today I feel like having a catch up with you guys, and I don't have a book to review, which is why I'm not publishing this video on a Saturday. As you know, Saturdays are when I publish my book reviews, and I do other bookish videos on different days of the week. So today I wanted to talk about books, but in a more casual way. So I used to publish a catch-up video every week. I think I called it Friday Reads, which is hardly original because a lot of people do that. But anyway, I stopped doing that kind of video about a year ago, I think, because I didn't always feel like I had something interesting to say every week. And also because I felt this pressure to read a lot of books at the same time, so I had enough to talk about every week. Now, this is something that I spoke to about at length recently on a video about the benefits of reading slowly. So I'm going to link to that video here so you can hear my thoughts and see how I almost reached burnout thanks to BookTube. But that is not what I wanted to talk about today anyway. What gave me the idea for this video catch-up was really my recent reading experience with Ulysses by James Joyce. You know, I tried to read that book for the first time, and I'm pretty sure I talked about my reasons for reading Ulysses in my video about the classics I was most looking forward to reading in 2021. So I won't talk about those reasons again here in this video. But what I'm not sure about is whether I promised you I would review Ulysses on that video. If I did, I am sorry, because I will not be reviewing Joyce's masterpiece, at least until I have read it a second time, possibly a third time. Now, I don't know if you have read Ulysses or not, but that's not really relevant to this video, you know, whether you have read Ulysses or not. What is relevant is whether you have ever experienced being bored or too challenged by a book, which I am sure we have all felt at some point, and whether that made you quit that book or not. Okay, I'm not saying that I was bored by Ulysses, but that novel challenged me in unexpected ways. As I predicted, I didn't find it necessarily difficult. I'm used to different writing styles, and stream of consciousness is not an unfamiliar narrative technique to me, or really to anyone who has read the likes of Virginia Woolf or William Faulkner, for instance. And yet, as I read Ulysses, at least past the first few shorter chapters or episodes, and I think episodes is the preferred term in Ulysses, I was overcome by this feeling that that what I was reading was going right over my head. Now, have you ever felt like that reading a book? I'm sure you have. I knew that Ulysses is meant to be a funny book, but I didn't laugh once. Perhaps I think I let myself feel that pressure to find some of the situations described in the novel funny, and that pressure stopped me from finding anything funny. After I finished the novel, because yes, I did finish it, I thought that perhaps what got in the way was the fact that I am very much not Irish and haven't even been to Ireland. But then I thought, isn't great literature supposed to be universal? And isn't Ulysses held as great literature and therefore universal literature? You know, perhaps I just wasn't getting the many references in the text. You know, sometimes it can be hard to know what you are not getting. You know, as someone once said, there are things we don't know we don't know. And then it also occurred to me that my biggest problem had possibly been my approach to the book. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, you will know by now that I am an advocate for approaching every book differently. Every great book is unique, so it doesn't make sense to me to use the same approach or have the same, let's say, set of expectations about everything I read, right? But something I did get about Ulysses is that it is a book that teaches you how to read it as you are actually reading on. So you just need to take your time and be open to the lessons contained within the text. The lessons on how to approach the text are all in the text. And I don't know if this makes sense, and I am sorry if it doesn't. I just don't think I could explain this any better until at least I've read Ulysses again. When I say that I use different approaches for different books, for reading different books, that is not just about the books themselves, but also about me. You know, when I read Ulysses again, I will use a different approach. But I don't know if that approach I will use will work for other readers, right? Because it's about me. When I think back about my experience reading Ulysses the first time, a few questions come to mind. Should I have stopped reading Ulysses? And if so, at what point should I have stopped? Did I waste my time finishing it? How much did I actually get out of it? Can I truly say that I have read Ulysses? You know, I have some answers to those questions, but they might change over time the more I think about them. What I want to know is if you have ever felt like that about a book, and if so, what did you do? Did you stop reading it? Are you the kind of reader that quits on books? And if you are, what makes you bail? You know, I really hope we can discuss this in the comment section below, but in the meantime, you know, let me tell you what I think about all this, okay? So in theory, I have no qualms about quitting reading a book. Yet I rarely quit reading books. When I have quit a book, it's usually because I had a strong feeling that I wouldn't get anything out of reading it. And yeah, that may sound harsh, it is harsh, but actually the overwhelming majority of books I read would not fall in that category, okay? I do finish most of the books I read. The most recent example of a book I felt like that about and that I quit was The Eighth Life by Nino Haratischvili, which is a German novel that has become a sort of international bestseller recently. It was not the kind of novel I usually read, I'll admit that, but I was willing to give it a go. However, my feeling that it was not a novel for me was confirmed early on. So I felt like I was going to get nothing out of the reading experience, so I quit. I stopped reading that book. But that was a rare occurrence for me. Why? Because actually over the years, I think I have developed a strong sense, not necessarily for the books I would enjoy reading, but for those books that I would get something out of, which often means the same thing to me, you know. I have a long list of books I want to read before I die, but I know I will never get to all of them, and now I have made peace with that fact, which has allowed me to slow down my pace, my reading pace, but also has made me more demanding as a reader, actually. You know, I don't read just to pass the time. I know some people do that, at least, you know, from time to time, and I have nothing against that. I have nothing to say about that. For me, though, reading always means making an effort. If I want to pass the time, I'll go on social media, I'll listen to music, watch TV, do anything that, for me, requires minimum effort. And reading, for me, never requires minimum effort, right? So, you know, I know that listening to music, even watching some more challenging television or movies also requires an effort too. I'm not saying it doesn't, you know, don't get me wrong, but reading to me is possibly the hardest, most intellectually challenging activity that I engage in. So do I take reading too seriously? Maybe I do, I don't know. I have never thought about it that way actually, but I certainly do not revere books. And I usually have a great time when I read. And you know, as long as I have the right expectations for a book and take the right approach to reading it, I will usually read it all the way through. But this is just me, right? For me, a book is only boring when, you know, I expect it to be, I don't know, action-packed or peppered with witty dialogue, and then it isn't. If I know what to expect from a book, I pick it up and I realize I was right in my expectation, whatever that expectation was, then that book will never bore me. And that brings me to why I make book reviews here on this channel. There are so many videos on YouTube where people talk about the books they read, and I love watching those videos, you know, that kind of content. Some people can be very, very entertaining, and I love it when people recommend their favorite books. And, you know, I am also, you know, so grateful for people like that. In fact, I have read some books that I have seen discussed here on YouTube, and the best thing is that, you know, everyone does it in their own way. Everyone who reviews books on here does it differently, and they all add their own reading experience to it, and that is great. I don't know about you, but the more I watch the same reviewer review books, I kind of develop a sense of their reading taste. I don't just read or watch reviews from people who have a similar taste to mine, and I think that is key. You know, sometimes the fact that a particular booktuber recommends a book would be enough for me to know that that book is probably not for me. And that's also useful information, believe it or not. But I am being slightly facetious here. The point I was trying to make is that reviews are important. I do believe that. And I think reviewing books is hard, but it is also helpful. At least that's how I feel when I watch other people's reviews. And, you know, I always learn so much from all of them. But I think I have gone a little bit off topic, so I'm sorry. I did say at the beginning that this was going to be an informal catch-up, but I do apologize if this video is a little bit less structured than what you're used to watching here on my channel. I just wanted to say that I will continue making my Saturday book reviews. But, you know, from time to time, it is nice for me to come out and talk about books and reading more generally or from a slightly different perspective. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a like and share it on social media. We are getting close to being 2,000 subscribers. So also please subscribe if you haven't already. Why? Because that way my videos will get to more people who will also enjoy them. As usual, I hope that you are well. Please let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Take care, read good books, read what you want, and I will see you again for another bookish video very soon. Bye for now.